In this video, we are going to compare and contrast comets, asteroids, and meteors. Comets, asteroids, and meteors are NEOs, or near-Earth objects. Near-Earth objects, or NEOs, are small solar system bodies whose orbits come close to the Earth. Now, let us compare and contrast those NEOs. Let us begin with their origin. The origin of the most comets are Kuiper Belt and Oort Cloud. This is how the solar system looks like. In the solar system, the Kuiper Belt is a doughnut-shaped ring of icy objects around the Sun, extending beyond the orbit of Neptune, while the Oort Cloud is a spherical cloud of cometary bodies far beyond the orbits of the outermost planets. Comets usually come from Oort Cloud and few from Kuiper Belt. So again, the origin of most comets are Kuiper Belt and Oort Cloud. On the other hand, the origin of most asteroids is main asteroid belt. In the solar system, the main asteroid belt is torus-shaped region of rocky bodies between the orbits of Jupiter and Mars. This belt is theorized by the scientists to be the remnants of a planet that did not form completely due to the strong gravity of Jupiter. Again, the origin of comets are Kuiper Belt and Oort Cloud, while the asteroids is main asteroid belt. Now, let us compare the shapes of comets and asteroids. Comets and asteroids have varied and irregular shape. These are the examples of comets, and these are asteroids. As you can see, both have varied and irregular shape. Size range of diameter in kilometer. The sizes of comets are ranging from 1 kilometer up to about 20 kilometer, while the asteroids are from 1 kilometer up to 1,000 kilometer. If we compare the size of the largest asteroid and comet, they look like this. The asteroid is tremendously bigger than comet. Thus, the asteroids are usually bigger than comets. Here are the 4 largest asteroids. The largest asteroid is Ceres with a diameter of 939 km. This is the size of Ceres compared to the Earth and the Moon. It is a dwarf planet in the asteroid belt. The second is Vesta, 525 km. The third is Pallas, 512 km. And the fourth is Hygeia, 434 km. If we look closely, they look like this: Ceres, Vesta, Pallas, and Hygeia. Comparing the sizes of those 4 largest asteroids to the landmass of North America, they look like this. They can cover thousands of kilometers of the landmass. Chemical composition. Comets are icy objects, while asteroids are rocky fragments in the outer space. Specifically, comets are composed of ice, which is a frozen water, gases, which are frozen ammonia, methane, and carbon dioxide, and other organic compounds or carbon-containing compounds. Comets are also known as dirty snowballs. Because of its composition, comet look like this. It has nucleus, coma, plasma, ion tail, and dust tail. In the night sky, it looks like this. This is a Hale-Bopp comet with a twin blue and white tails. It was discovered in 1995 by Hale-Bopp and had its closest approach to Earth in 1997. Being visible to the naked eye for 18 months, it was called as the Great Comet. On the other hand, the asteroids or rocky fragments contain silicates, which are olivine, pyroxene, iron, and nickel. Comets and asteroids both reflect light from the Sun in varying amounts depending on the size and composition. The presence of more silicates allows comets and asteroids to reflect light. Silicates are minerals that contain the elements silicon, oxygen, and at least one metal. If the comets and asteroids have a smaller amount of silicates, it would be more difficult to see even with the use of telescope. Orbit. The orbit of comets is highly elliptical. This is an example of the orbit of comet. While the orbit of asteroids is more rounded. This is an example of the orbit of asteroid. Comets and asteroids both orbit around the Sun and move relatively slow when viewed from the Earth. This means that we can see a comet for up to a year in the night sky, or even during the morning if the comet is bright enough. Orbital period in years. The orbital periods of comets are ranging from 75 years to 250,000 years. There are two types of comets. The first are the short-period comets, and the second are the long-period comets. The short-period comets take less than 200 years to complete the orbit around the Sun. They originate from Kuiper Belt. The example of short-period comet is Comet Halley. Comet Halley has a bluish tail. It was discovered in 1758 by Halley. It can be visible from Earth every 75 to 76 years, making it the only naked-eye comet that can appear in the night sky twice in a human lifetime. It was last seen in 1986 and expected to return in 2061. On the other hand, the long-period comets take more than 200 years to complete the orbit around the Sun. They originate from Oort Cloud. The example of long-period comet is Comet Hyakutake. Comet Hyakutake was discovered in 1996 by Hyakutake. Its orbital period is 113,782 years. It has a bluish-green tail and considered as the longest comet tail ever recorded. Hyakutake's tail extended more than 480 million kilometers, or 3 times the distance from Earth to the Sun, making it dubbed the Great Comet of 1996. In contrast, the orbital periods of asteroids are ranging from 1 year to 100 years. Comets usually take longer years to orbit around the Sun because they are located in Kuiper Belt and Oort Cloud, which are beyond the planets and the solar system, while the asteroids usually take shorter years to orbit around the Sun, since they are originated from the main asteroid belt, which is just between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Now, let us sum up. The origin of comets are Kuiper Belt and Oort Cloud, while the asteroids is main asteroid belt. Comets and asteroids have varied and irregular shape. Asteroids are usually bigger than comets. Comets are icy objects, while asteroids are rocky fragments. The orbit of comets are highly elliptical, while the orbit of asteroids are more rounded. Comets usually orbit around the Sun for longer years than asteroids. Another outer space objects are meteoroids. Meteoroids are broken rock and dust from either comets, asteroids, the Moon, or from the Mars. They can be small as grain of sand to around 10 meters in diameter. When the meteoroid enters the Earth's atmosphere, it is called meteor. When it survives and makes it to the ground, it is called as meteorite. This is how the meteor looks like in the Earth's atmosphere.